What is up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be going over how you can beat Porta Forts in zero build. This is something I've been getting asked about a lot, or had people complaining about in my comment section a lot, and this is something that I really didn't struggle much with, but I think that's mainly because I played build mode first, and I'm kind of used to dealing with people in bases, and I'm like I know how to deal with that. But that's what we're going to be going over in this video. Hopefully after watching it, you'll be better at dealing with people camping in Porta Forts. If you guys do find this video helpful or informative, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and comment down below what your biggest weakness is right now in zero build. Like whatever aspect of the game you feel like you're worse at, whether it's shotgun fights, mid-range AR fights, rotating, any of those things, comment that down below. I'm interested to see your comments on that one. The first thing we're going to talk about with the Porta Forts that I see a lot of people doing wrong, I think, is that they try to totally have a mid-range fight versus a Porta Fort. So you have a team in a Porta Fort, and then you have yourself behind like maybe some trees or rocks or whatever, but you don't have a Porta Fort of your own, and you're trying to strictly just win out a mid-range fight versus them. That is not going to work. You might have moments in which you have the advantage in that fight, or you like tag them and get initial damage, and that's good. But in a prolonged fight, just your team sitting out in the open versus the team in the Porta Fort team has a huge advantage. So I think it's best to use mobility and get in close on them when you get damage. So if you're able to fry one good or maybe even get a knock, that's when you want to get in close, use your mobility items, and swarm the Porta Fort and kill them that way. Oftentimes, the people camping in Porta Forts aren't the best players. And so once you get a knock or you get early damage or whatever and you get in close on them, they're not going to be able to respond to that quite well. And if you're a good fighter, you're going to be able to destroy them in that fight really easily, especially because a lot of people aren't used to people just aping them when they're in the Porta Fort and coming in with mobility. So items like the grapple glove, rift to goes if it's really long range, or shockwaves, I feel like are really good counters to the Porta Fort. Pretty much whenever I see somebody camping a Porta Fort, I just shockwave onto them, because it is kind of a 50-50 if you think about it. If you just shockwave into the Porta Fort and have like the close range fight, it's kind of a 50-50. I'm pretty confident in my close range fighting, but the odds are equal pretty much for both players. And some people might not like that, but if you stand in an area with less cover than what they have and try to just have a mid-range fight versus them, that's worse than a 50-50. You're better off creating a 50-50 and playing that out than you are taking a fight that's like 70-30 or 60-40 in the opponent's favor. Obviously, these numbers are not like hard numbers or factual. It's just like I'm trying to paint a picture, you know what I mean? They have the advantage when they're in the Porta Fort and you aren't. When y'all are both in the Porta Fort, it's kind of a neutral fight, and it can really come down to anybody. And like I said before, I feel like a lot of the people camping in Porta Forts and pubs typically aren't the best fighters. So if you get in close and force that close range fight, they're not going to be able to do well. So I think mobility, you can get those opening tags. If you get the opening tags and swarm them afterwards, that's great. It's going to make the fight really easy for you, and you're going to have the advantage. But you need to take advantage of those opening tags quickly, because the longer the fight goes, I feel like the team in the Porta Fort will win out. It's just like a very good defensive position. And obviously, if you have an endgame with a bunch of teams camping in Porta Forts, it's different. But we're talking more about just one-on-one fights. Heavy snipers can also be really, really helpful in griefing the Porta Forts, but I see a lot of people doing this incorrectly, in that they heavy snipe the bottom walls, because the thought process is if I shoot out all of this bottom, then it'll fall, and then they won't have a Porta Fort anymore. And that is true, but it takes more than one heavy sniper heavy sniper bullet to destroy the walls. Whereas the heavy sniper will actually one-shot the ramps and the cones, which is the top part of the Porta Fort, and the part that's like actually good cover for the people up top. It'll one-shot that. So you can one-shot the ramps and start like destroying it piece by piece rather quickly. The bottom will still remain, but if you destroy like 2 or 3 of the ramps on the top part, it makes it less effective than it was previously. Like, it's less effective cover for the people in it. Whereas like if you're destroying the bottom, you have to get out 8 heavy sniper shots essentially to destroy every wall, because it's 2 per wall. But at the same time, while you're doing that, the people up top still have great cover. Whereas if you start griefing the ramps and the cones that are up the top part, the people camping up there have way less cover, and they're way more exposed. And oftentimes they'll still sit up there even when they have no cover. So like if the Porta Fort is facing you and you destroy all the ramps and cones that are facing you, there's still that layer behind it that they can sit on, but they're fully exposed. And I feel like a lot of times when you destroy the Porta Fort, the pieces facing you, like I was saying, people will still sit on that back part even though they're completely exposed, just because they like the high ground, or they feel like that's like the most advantageous thing for them to do. And you kind of just baited them into taking a really bad fight for themselves. When they have the Porta Fort, people feel really inclined to use it. If you destroy their front layer of ramps, They're going to go on the back layer, and then they're just going to be really exposed. You're going to be able to get easy tags, and then maybe then you can shockwave onto them. And even if you don't have something like a heavy sniper, multiple people shooting at the same ramp or cone will destroy it rather quickly, especially with things like the AUG or the combat assault rifle. You can destroy those rather quickly. So it's not like you need to ape immediately with mobility, but I feel like the end of that fight is going to be eventually you get an advantage on the Porta Fort team through damage or by destroying it and forcing them into the lower part, and then you ape them with mobility, be it Rift to Go, Shockwaves, or Grapple Glove. And just knowing when to take advantage of that is something that I feel like a lot of people struggle with because they hesitate and they don't really like playing aggressive and they don't really like getting in those close range fights. But you're going to need to play aggressive to take away the advantage that the Porta Fort has. And mobility is king there. Mobility is so helpful in zero build for like a multitude of reasons. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I think like mobility is one of the most important things in zero build. And it kind of just hard counters the Porta Fort. I feel like a lot of the people that have been like very much struggling versus Porta Forts are some of the same people who don't really tend to carry mobility items. Boogie bombs can also be really helpful in playing against the Porta Fort. People have a clip on screen now. You can basically just shockwave yourself straight up, and then while you're in the sky, you can throw boogie bombs down at the people in the Porta Fort. And this works regardless of game modes. And this is, you know, potentially another reason to just carry boogie bombs in zero build modes. My favorite loadout recently has been AUG, auto shoddy, boogie bombs, chug splashes, and shockwaves. That's what I've been carrying, and that's what I've been having the most success with in zero build. And it's really easy to win that fight. If you boogie bomb them, you're going to be able to get free shots on them. You may have already had an HP advantage. And like we've talked about several times in this video, oftentimes the people camping the Porta Forts and playing really hard off of that are not the best fighters. The best fighters in the lobby typically tend to be the most aggressive players because they're confident in their fighting. It makes sense. The people playing hard off the Porta Fort and trying to win that way aren't the most confident in fighting typically. So if you make it a fight about close range combat, they're oftentimes going to falter. It's not always the case, but typically that's going to be the case in zero build public matches, at least. In competitive, completely different. I'm talking mainly about public matches. So that is going to be it for this video. I feel like it really just comes down to timing and pressing your advantages, and that's pretty much all Fortnite Battle Royale is about anyways. Like in normal fights, like a perfect fight for me would be I AUG somebody, I get early damage on them, and then I shockwave onto them with my shotgun. Like you get that early damage and you press the advantage. And Porta Forts are no different. They do have some sort of cover, but you can quickly take that away from them with mobility. Hope you guys found this video helpful or informative. If you did, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below what you feel like your weakest aspect of Fortnite is currently, and maybe I'll make a video about that in the near future. Thanks for watching. It's gonna be so hard to win because I feel like every time I've gone up here, I just get shot at by everybody in the lobby. No, man. That was so awkward. That was just literally the most awkward game I've ever played in my life. Corner IQ, like I thought it was a 1v1. When I shockwaved into the sky after the, what was it, a Boardwalk Ruby? After she died on me and I had one shockwave, one boogie bomb left, I was like, alright. Just go straight up and they're a free kill because I can boogie bomb them. But it was not a 1v1. And then I saw like one guy above, like one guy low ground, one guy high ground. I figured I could boogie the guy high ground, make him irrelevant for a little bit, and then kill the guy low ground. That guy panicked though. What he could have done if he was like not scared, the guy who got second, when I boogied him, he could have backed up a little bit into zone. The zone would have given him a little bit of damage, so he would have gotten knocked out of the boogie effect, and then he would have been fine. Why am I getting friend requests? Give you the time to kill others? Yeah, he could have like negated it though. If he like, I don't know, maybe he just didn't know that's how it worked. But yeah, if you take any damage, you're no longer boogied, so he could have backed up in his own and then been fine there.